Let's get millennial. Hello everyone, I'm Juanita, and today I wanted to share with you some of the lessons that I learned when working on documentation for Spyder IDE. So first, I wanted to talk a little bit about who I am. I am a mathematician, so this means that I have little background in software since my background is actually in pure mathematics. I have been working on Spyder for over 2 years. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, Spyder is an integrated development environment for Python. It is open source, and I have also been working on documentation for over a year and a half. My team also calls me the community manager, which means that I do things that are not only code related, but also surveys and videos and social media content and other community work. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you today is that I am a tutor and I worked as a kids tutor for a long time. And this is a really important part of my background since it has shaped the way that I do things today, and it has definitely impacted on the lessons that I learned. Okay, story time. So I wanted to start this talk with a story. So Carlos Cordova, our lead maintainer for Spyder, came to me one day and he told me, we have a problem. There are many users that are breaking their environments because they're mixing their packages from pip, conda, and condaforge, and they're having trouble to bring them back to work. This is a very common issue. It's really hard to explain all the things they need to do to get their environments back to work. And I have been trying to help them on Gitter, on the issue tracker, on Stack Overflow, but it's really hard to keep track of all the problems that people are having, and I don't know how to help them. So I said, let's make a video. And this is basically how the Spyder says don't mix pip and conda video that you're seeing on the screen was born. This is the first of the series Spyder says, hence the name of the talk. And this is a really complete explanation of what people should do when they break their environments. It goes through all the steps necessary, and it is a really long video. It lasts like 8 minutes, and this is a reason why I decided to make it fun. So it has a lot of memes, it has screenshots, music, bloopers at the end, and the reason why I did this is because I wanted for people to have some material where they could go to solve this hard issue that they were having, to call their attention, and to basically help them solve this issue in an easier way than like answering them on Gitter or Stack Overflow. And I guess my message with this story is, usually being a developer makes it hard to put ourselves in the position of users and understand exactly what they need, right? So it is really important to consider the preferences of the target audience in software, which is, I think, necessary to generate the relevant content for users. So in the case of Spyder, nowadays a lot of users are students or people who get into software very young, and I think new generations are the future maintainers, right? So we need to take their interests into account when writing content for them. Here is where the key concept of my talk comes, and it's empathy. So a couple of months ago, I wrote a blog post, and I hope I can share the link with you, which is writing docs is not just writing docs. So I think the main idea of my blog post is saying that developers and especially maintainers should be concerned not only about writing good code in their projects, but also about creating educational and promotional content for users to be able to get the most out of these projects. But empathy is the main concept in these. So, context. I wanted to tell you my own experience in Spyder. So these lessons that I'm going to talk about are from my own experience, especially in documentation, but I'm quite sure that they are applicable to other educational or promotional content in software. So what have I done? Basically, I did the docs restructuring to make them user-friendly, and the way I did this was, first I reviewed all the content and improved the language. I added the screenshots and GIFs. And second, I added some tutorial videos in our new YouTube channel for people to learn different things about Spyder. So when doing these two things, I took into account 3 ideas that I will share with you today. So first idea is create different types of content. So why? First, because people learn differently. So there's auditory, visual, there's kinesthetic, and we have to basically generate content that can make people that learned in these different ways learn, right? Second reason is generations change. So nowadays media is very important. Usually people, especially young people, prefer to watch videos rather than reading long PDFs or books. And the third reason why we should create different types of content is because there's different levels of users. There's basic, there's intermediate, there's advanced, and we need to try to provide useful information for all of them. So how did I do this? So in Spyder's documentation, we have currently these paint descriptions, and I added a bunch of GIFs and screenshots for them to have like visual aids and to try to explain easier and in different ways the same reading content that they have there. I also added these videos that I was talking about, and they are divided into like the levels. So there's like these basic level, there's this intermediate level, and in the future I hope to have like an advanced level. And the third thing that I did, which is not directly related to documentation, but it has been important for our community, is live streamings. So live streamings are like boom now, like the new generations love live streamings, and that's why we have like been doing Spyder casts, which is how we call them, in order to share relevant content related to Spyder. And this sort of allows us to get closer to our users in a way. So create different types of content. Second idea is find the hardest problems. So part of knowing your audience is knowing what they will be looking for. So you want to make sure that you include where people come looking for and find an easy way to solve it, right? So if you find the hardest and most common problems, I think that this is a really good way to like know what people are going to come looking for in whatever content you are developing. In this case, I'm talking about documentation particularly, but I'm sure it applies. So one example of these is our frequently asked questions section that I created on our documentation. So what I did was collecting most of the issues, the most common issues of our issue tracker, Stack Overflow, and Gitter, and I tried to put them all in one place with summarized answers. So as you can see, I also split them by topics, and this is a really easy way to have a solution for a particular question that a user has. And the most relevant thing about these is that they're based on real problems. Yeah, I took the most common things that people were asking for, and I basically summarized them in order for people to find them easier. And a second example of these is our troubleshooting guide. So this has like the most common steps that we can think of for solving bugs when working in Spyder. So find the hardest problems and try to find an easy way to solve them. Make the content endurable. So I think this is the hardest one. So when dealing with hard problems, content tends to be long and complicated, and this usually causes people to get bored or distracted, and you lose their attention. So I think a good strategy for people to get the complete information is to make the content not only useful, but fun. So it is not always easy to do this, especially when creating content for software, but I think the Peep Conda video is a very good example of doing this. So it's basically solving a hard problem in a relatively long video, but making it fun in order to call a user's attention and make them watch it complete so they can actually solve the issue that they are having. Even with written content, which is actually harder to make fun, it is possible, I think. So, one thing that I did, for example, was writing the troubleshooting guide as a medical guide. So it is a really, really long manual, but it's split it into sections that have a fun name, basically. So it is easier to follow and a little bit less boring to read, I would say. So make content more enjoyable. I have here the screenshots of the bloopers of some of the videos that I have posted, and I think this is a way to call people attention and basically give them some content that they are going to enjoy, and it's also useful, right? So this is the end of what I wanted to share with you. I think these three ideas have made me write docs in a better way, and the reason that I have done this is basically to try to find what users need and what users are looking for right now. So, my main purpose of today was to highlight the importance of considering the preferences, the behaviors, and the interests of the target audience when designing content for software, and how I have been trying to achieve it while writing docs on Spyder. So, let's get millennial. Thanks, and I hope these ideas are useful for your projects.